Do y'all remember that time Mr. Incredible broke into Bungie headquarters, hacked into the mainframe to try to find the answer to the question, why is it dangerous to use a primary at close and medium range? Don't get too ahead of yourself in the comment section, that was obviously exaggerated. Let's start the video. Hey friends, today's topic is regarding the 11.14.24 TWAB, where Bungie talked about the difficulty of engaging in the medium to close range combat windows with the current level of ability uptime stemming largely from our prismatic subclasses. They also mentioned the lack of competition among our medium long range primary options outside of pulse rifles. So immediately after reading that, my first thought is, oh, I'm sorry there, I have a bit of a stutter. I'm just pre-charging around the wall, too scared to engage with my primary weapon. But yeah, jokes aside, fusion rifles and shotguns exist, and it's not just abilities. It could also be exotic armor and how it interacts with abilities. It can be, well, I said special weapons. It could be how the map plays around all of those factors. It could be the player movement speed, the recovery speed. There's a lot of different levers that affect success in close to medium range. Another one that gets the community arguing is time to kill, but you have to consider how all of these levers interact with each other before hitting one without the other. It all needs to work in harmony for the game to feel more balanced, and balance to me doesn't mean every option is viable, because there could be tiers to that. It just means out of the strongest options in the game, there's some healthy variety. It's fun to have weaker and goofy weapons and whatnot, and goofy abilities to play in a more casual setting, or maybe you're the expert player in the group playing with lower skill friends, and you just want to use something weaker to keep it interesting for everyone in the lobby. Like, I completely understand that. So when I make these videos talking about balance, I don't mean in a way that's destructive to gathering the biggest population possible with the game. Also, there can be set spaces. There's a mayhem playlist for a reason, because it's not everyone's cup of tea, and one day I hope they realize that there should be a real competitive playlist to get those players out of the casual playlist, which in proxy makes the casual playlist more fun for everyone else. I don't know how this is like a wild concept anytime I bring it up on stream or social media or whatever. Let's get back on track. So two immediate issues that come to mind when talking about close and medium range more than abilities to me are shotguns and fusion rifles, specifically how easy they are to use and how your Guardian's overall kit enables you to fly forward without consequence, along with the special ammo economy, making it so that succeeding against a shotgun or a fusion doesn't really feel that good because it's looming around the corner again. Let's just say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Take the fusion rifle in the background, charge from 0.7, swap speed 0.4. So together, 1.1 time to kill. That's what you have to do before a fusion rifle deletes you. But no fusion rifler in their right mind isn't going to pre-charge. They're going to probably be halfway through, and if they're even better, you're looking at like a 0.5 window to live, which is very hard to react to with this game's networking. And the effective range of that combo is close to medium range, especially if you start using other fusion rifle archetypes and go even crazier on the pre-fire, which you're not really punished for because you can partially cancel the charge up every time around the corner. So yeah, no surprise people can't find success with primaries against fusion rifles. But what about shotguns? If you're trying to use an SMG in its intended distance, like multi-mock at 20 meters, what if you get slid at by a shotgunner, they thruster for 80 health, and then they shotgun you from 8 meters away while walking forward to get the knockout melee? Potentially, you're looking at a 1 second effective time to kill, which matches with their combo. Considering both the opponent and the player's capacity for a mistake, I don't really know who wins in this scenario, so I call this jousting, even though the SMG player is doing what they're supposed to be doing. And because of a multitude of other reasons that make close and medium range difficult, it's gotta feel so strange from the submachine gunner's perspective, watching a VOD back, wondering if they made the correct play, because, like I said, if they have a thruster, get lucky, get up close, it's over. And how can you anticipate that around every single corner, every red patch on the radar? It's so frustrating. And if you're like the rest of the player base, you found the solution, which was let's just avoid that frustration altogether and stick to medium and long range. And out of the weapon selection, the best tool for the job is the high impact pulse rifle, always has been. I wouldn't write off scout rifles though, because given the right map in context, like let's say a big map and the power ammo is visible, you could just equip double primary and not even deal with the shotgun, fusion rifle, jousting, close medium range. You can avoid that altogether. And scout rifles do have competitive archetypes thanks to some perks. The best, if you just want to throw one on, is a high impact pulse like Jade Rabbit because it has a lot of juice under the hood. That's the most consistent. If you want to have a playstyle difference, use a precision frame with box breathing and you'll get a 0.67 just like the LCs. If you want to punish resilience, use a rapid fire with enhanced precision instrument and you will also have like a 0.7 time to kill. The only one that's really lagging behind is the lightweight frame, and I would say Mida Multi-Tool is worth using because having your radar up all the time, as we know from the multitude of knucklehead users avoiding close and medium range, it's a very valuable tool, multi-tool. As far as other options go, I do think 120s are in the discussion, even on some extremely long-range maps, because every sightline where an objective appears is not necessarily a scout rifle angle. So yeah, 120s, even at damage drop-off, still contribute to the team fight enough for me to consider them a top option. Another top option that I don't see being used though are bows, especially on mouse and keyboard, where you're able to be more precise and quick and be able to play the sky angles and rapid agility to make up for the disadvantage of bows. Oh, I realized I never talked about high impact scout rifles like Dead Man's Tale or the Trials reward, the Prophet. Those scout rifles are really good, arguably the best, but the only thing that holds them back is when you aim down sights, you can't see anything sometimes. It's just the weapon model is too much in the way to have it feel useful and not like you have the blinders on. The final primary to mention for long range is Forerunner. I guess it's a special weapon, but it's kind of used to complement a pseudo double primary setup. And then Hawkmoon. Hawkmoon you would think is a medium range weapon, but its perk allows you to have a long range playstyle. And also, like I saw that shot whiff. Dude, my aim was really shaky in this B-roll comp gameplay. This was right when Elsie's rifle dropped, and sure enough, I was like, wait, legendary, no time to explain. This thing's gonna hit in competitive. And hit it did. People are still using it. Who would have thought? Oh wait, we all knew. So yeah, Hawkmoon with Eye of the Storm, Opening Shot, or Rangefinder, which is back on the radar thanks to Drew mentioning how useful it is after looking at some Halo mod tools. You stop by his stream, definitely pester him to make the video. I'll make a follow-up video being like, Drew, open my eyes to Rangefinder again, and it's really great on these weapons, but I don't like it on these weapons, and or there's a better perk on other weapons. It's a cool topic to get into. But Hawkmoon is useful with those perks because you can hit yellow numbers at distances it has no business hitting yellow numbers, and normally that doesn't really help you in a gunfight doing like 24 damage across the map when they pop you for like 90. But with Hawkmoon, you eventually build up to that special weapon one-hit power of the final round. You don't even have to bank on the one-tap. You can save up a two-tap. You just farm a couple bullets in the back of the map, then you can get curious because you have a more reasonable out to like that thruster shotgun example or the fusion rifle example. And this isn't a new strategy, by the way. Since the gun has come out, I feel like Bungie has always fumbled the bag in some regard to PvP balance. Instead of ranting on that too long, I'm just going to say this is a live service game, but stop leaving the live service part of it hostage to balance. I don't care about the future playtest when I have to live in a bad patch for months. And then the pattern repeats itself where we get an end to the drought and finally get some new balancing patches that make the game feel dynamic again, meaning there's a reasonable back and forth where you can watch the VOD and have a better idea of what to do to get in an advantage state and not joust. That's just gambling. Then that balancing update is either undone by a new item coming out and completely going against what it seems like the vision they had for PvP was, or they bait us by having checkmate and then regressing it, or having something like hardware where it's only weapons while forgetting to disable so much power ammo. The radar is still a looming issue, and forgetting to put an objective mode in it. Because without those, the only solution to that type of gameplay is look at the radar, hug the wall, build up a kill perk on Hawkmoon or something, and have a shotgun, because if you don't, you can't corner check to follow up on any real advantage. Unrelated but related, I guess I'm getting into this. Collision is king of the hill without the king. Okay, enough of that, let's be constructive. Why are players avoiding close and medium engagements? Well, the obvious answers start with special weapons and abilities used in conjunction. It is risky to use a close quarters weapon because at any point they can combo an ability plus a special weapon to force them into a joust, which is what they want because they're probably a 1KD player. The other one is the fusion rifle, looking at the radar, knowing exactly when to pre-charge, and then they just jiggle peek for that little face peek to get the info to know if they full commit to the charge or not. It's a very safe playstyle, and they're also really easy to aim. Oh, and if they do happen to miss, pause for effect, they have high handling, so they can just swap to the primary and clean up whatever damage they happen to hit. I'm not going to go too far on reminding us the quick draw glitch and how that could be seen as either a skill gap, but regardless of if they include high handling or not, they have to balance the other levers in the game around that. So then we're talking radar and objective modes now. The radar is big, but scout rifles are bigger, therefore you can flank. Some maps don't allow it, but some maps do. And if you can take an option where your opponent isn't pre-aimed on you, that sounds a lot better, especially if there's not an objective mode. So let's recap here. Close range, unsafe, frustrating. Long range, safe, many more competitive weapon options available. Readable, but contingent on the map size and objective placement. Like if power ammo is in close quarters, you're probably equipping for close quarters, even if the range... Oh, I want to mention a big elephant in the room as far as competitive play goes, and I would even say casual since they force skill-based matchmaking there, which means some players are extra passionate while my teammates are new to the game. Outlier protection, by the way. Anytime I have a range advantage, like with the scout rifle, and I know I'm playing around their pulse or their hand cannon, they will just menu to a scout rifle, and then I lose my advantage, and then when they defeat me and take that map space, they just switch back to the hand cannon. So what's the point of a single primary, single special when they're going to be playing double primary anyway? Might as well just revamp the system, take the extra time to do it, make a separate playlist, etc., because this is getting old. It really has been the same old dance since Destiny 1, where players go, oh man, when Destiny finally gets a competitor, it will have to improve, or we'll just play the better of the two. But as we can gather from the dwindling population numbers, I'm sure some players got tired of waiting and just try to play other genres and other games entirely now, because this one just doesn't seem to get its shit together when it matters, or maintain it for enough. The live service is both the greatest weapon and the greatest weakness of this game, and it's sad to see it in its low points. That being said, that doesn't completely remove me from this game because the highs of PvP Sandbox and its uniqueness outweigh some of the bad parts. I just try to speak my mind and critique the game when that ratio is feeling really off, and it's feeling really off right now. Thanks for listening to this video. Drop your own comments and constructive criticisms. Be nice to each other. And I'm getting into streaming more often since I'm kind of struggling to make YouTube content. Have a great rest of your day, friends. See you in the next.